Welcome to episode 8 of Cynchranici-Tea, the podcast where we know that nothing is a coincidence, thus everything is intentional. How do you feel about that? Let's talk about it. Specifically, you are tapping into the root of the symmetry so that we can talk about magic squares today. Yeah, magic squares. Thinking about a box, think about a square. Stability, the number 4, right? Your body, look at just all your bones. It's just squares. There's a bunch of squares. So, today's episode is dedicated to the sacred geometry of the magic square and getting into how spirits use elements to build magic squares. How spirits use their thoughts to build magic squares. Because now we're going to be able to see, literally, this is how Earth is built. This is why Earth itself is a square, right? Anytime you look at rocks and things, they're blocks. They're squares. So, we are literally about to get into the science, the actual hermetic alchemy of how spirits together build rocks. How are spirits building your body right now with squares? See you on the other side.
My soul's been crying, I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying wild, my soul's been crying, I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying so high. Through the astral plane, macabre brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying too. Relay a word, those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying back into my space, called away with haste, so I'll fall with grace to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth, my soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my inner chi? I'm free to be me. I felt to inspire you to say how to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with the fam in your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not true to this spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. When you get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing. When I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses, they scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change our sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. We'll grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I felt to inspire you. Simmer higher, I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. Symmetry, I balance in my seasons, I marvel the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry, balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason.
right? So life is magical, right? Life is a miracle. That doesn't mean miracles can't be explained. And of course, not all miracles can be explained because that's the point of it really being a miracle. But when we are ignorant to the fact that we as spirits intentionally vibrate at certain frequencies so that we can create the energy that allows us to exist outside of ourselves, then it's really easy to just get wrapped up in reacting and being programmed and connecting with everyone on their level, connecting with the world on their level. This is the importance of fasting, so that you can actually connect with your own world, raise your vibration, increase your levels, and now it's way easier for you to bring heaven to earth, which is what we're always doing. Okay, so all these people on earth are super lost. They're trained by white supremacy to be lost and want to go to heaven, when in reality, the fact is you're in heaven in your own imagination, and the only way you can share your imagination, your heaven, with other spirits, as we talked about in Dissect the Dialect, is to create hell. So hell is you compromising and being like, okay, I'm going to step out of my heaven and connect with other spirits so I can share with them the gifts that are individual to my heaven. If I don't step into hell, if I don't create one body of water, this is the alchemy with the universe, then no one's going to be able to see my fire, right? Because you're just shining your fire out in your own space, in your own nothing. So if you're just outside of the universe, if you're not connecting with anyone and you're just shining your fire, then you're alone, always. So this is why you're in a body, because being in a body allows you to be connected to the universe. And this is what it looks like. So this is why every body, the magic square, the square in general, everything squares, the body is a square. It's that 4 energy. So your body is built up of all these magical squares that are transforming structures, yet still stable, of course, because that's the point, is stability. But I mean, it's not completely stable. Obviously, it's vibrating and constantly growing and shifting based on how you're communicating. So your body is a microcosm of the universe in that way, right? So this is how spirits build their bodies. We're just getting into the square geometry way of it, because yeah, there's so many ways I can go with this, actually. So this is why it's important for me to simmer trees. I actually am not simmering any trees. Simmering. I am not simmering or simmering any trees right now. I am taxing this wax. So here's the reason why symmetry has weed growing out of his mohawk, because I've never gone into this, and I've never even talked to myself about it really too much. It's a subconscious thing that now I'm finally going to bring to words, because that's the point of me doing this podcast. I am this spirit, but when I'm connecting with people on their level, when I'm in the world, I can never fully be myself, of course, because I'm not actually alone. So by doing this podcast, I'm in heaven right now. Like, I'm able to take my 1 and 0. So I'm being Jesus right now. I'm connecting with God right now. Right now I'm communicating with God, and you're able to then connect with me communicating with God. So you are also God in this way. I'm communicating with you. I'm communicating with myself first, so that I have something worth communicating to you. So this is how we build the universe. Boom. See, the W. Where are we? Connected. Underwater. Atlantis. Shout out Anubis. So I am in heaven right now, because this is 1-0, right? I am the spirit creating the 1 and connecting with myself inside of that. So boom, this is all about my individual imagination and everything that's coming out of my spirit, and everything that only I can see as an individual, and only I can explain and share as an individual, because I have a unique perspective separate from all other spirits in the universe. That's what spirituality is. All of our spaces are separate. No one can touch my space except me. And I have to create something to even feel like I'm touching my space, or else there's literally nothing to touch. So this is what awareness is. There's many ways I can go with this. Oh, that's so funny because, all right, hold up. This is why if I'm smoking, I can be more grounded, but it is funny. So Symmetry has weed growing out of his head because I, one, there's multiple levels to this. One, it's about getting high on your own supply. So when I was in college and I was smoking weed, it's it's just another way for me to take my power back. I'm like, man, why? Like, I love weed. I love weed. There's nothing wrong with weed. The problem is that it's not growing on my body. So I can smoke it. And that literally developed into what I have now as Symmetry, and like the idea of being a walking nature simulation. And this weed growing out of my head is then like the crown chakra, right? So it's about literally getting high, being up in your head, being heady, flying around in the air, hyper communicating in the spirit realm, while also being grounded in that. Because weed is simultaneously heightening yet grounding. Right? This is why you can smoke weed and go to sleep. Because it's grounding you so much, you become unaware and you just go to sleep. You're not conscious. But this is then the flip of weed. We know that when you're sleeping, you're actually flying. When you're sleeping, you're way closer to your spirit. You're way more in the astral realm because you're not projecting your consciousness into this realm. So weed is like the perfect balance. You know, like weed is perfect balance, perfect earth representation of balance. I love it. Don't do it too little. Don't do it too much, of course. The fact is, it's great though. And I mean, doing detoxes and everything from it is essential. That's the point of you growing your own inside of you. And that's the main reason why Symmetry has weed growing out for his mohawk, and in general why the name is Symmetry. It's literally about balancing. I mean, we have our song. So it's about balancing your chi, tripling your si, simmering your trees, breathing in your leaves, all of that, so you can communicate with your spirit better, and then communicate. And when I say better, I just mean in a more open way. You know, like that's what weed is really awesome with, I think. Like, I've never really put that into words, but weed very much opens you up to realms and realities. This is why weed is a psychedelic Symmetry. If you're doing any kind of acid trip, oh my god, tripping acid without weed is low-key a nightmare. Straight up, like doing LSD without smoking is like not it for me. Like I did that in Senegal, in Africa, and because I couldn't take weed, but I could take acid, right? So I tried acid a good amount without weed, and I'm just out there in nature, and it's awesome. Like, I'm seeing like all these details. I love the visuals. I was so obsessed with psychedelics for the visuals, for like altering my eyes. And I'm like, whoa, I could always see well, but like I can see the hyper details and geometry of reality. I need to draw. And I was just like obsessed with that, actually. A big part of me learning about being triple C and just seeing things, and me building Mercury as a simulation that is connected to the universe in a way that allows me to reflect upon everything happening in the universe, so I can record and inscribe and communicate about it, thus making me God of truth, God of the messenger, you know, Hermes in general, so many things, because it's literally about communication, and literally about Hermeticism, the Caduceus, having sex with yourself, not going outside of yourself, so that you can increase your ST ability and build your own garden instead of stinging others and just being a snake, right? So that's the reason, literally all that. big reason, like all that's so important to why symmetry is symmetry, and why weed is growing out of my mohawk. It's about getting high on your own supply, and that's the most hermetic thing you can do, and that's why we fast, while also then knowing that, hey, we're here for a good time. You know, like, you're alive, just do everything in balance. That's the point. So it's about awareness, right? Like, having sex with yourself doesn't mean that you don't have sex with other people at all, actually. Like, that literally means that when you have sex with yourself and you know what you want, now you know how to connect with people who are healthy and harmonious inside of themselves. I've gone through more than enough of this lifetime being happy, healthy, and harmonious inside of myself, and connecting with girls who drain me of that. And they hate being alone, and they just, and they always have to act like colonizers, white supremacists, people who are unhappy being alone in general, and they're trying to use light to make you connect with them, always have to look like they're kind. They always have to kill you with kindness. They always have to look like they're friendly and loving. And then it takes time as you connect with them to learn, oh, I need to stop projecting myself on them. They're actually a whack person. So this is why it's important to listen. That's where Semitism comes into play. So everything in life is only possible because of Hermeticism. The wisdom is going to be in Semitism, though, in you reflecting on the possibilities of life and what's happening. So as we become more aware of how spirits create life throughout this podcast, and just throughout you tapping into the root of the symmetry, rolling with Tahuti Hermes Trismegistus, aka Thrice Great Chase Clarence Calloway, called from Mercury so that he can relay the message of Hermeticism and Semitism, then you're going to be able to use all these tools, all these laws, to break the codes, right? This is the Matrix stuff. You have to know the rules before you can break them. If you're unaware of the rules, then the rules are going to be used against you, right? So this is why white supremacist colonizers have worked so hard to spread horrendous, disgusting genocide throughout Africa and Mesoamerica and India and all these, just the entire globe, and have stolen my emerald tablets from so many cultures. Because this wisdom was standard. Like, this was standard for me. Like, it's sharing Hermeticism, and I inscribed it in the emerald tablets. But when certain entities want to make quote unquote money, aka build a structure off of how humans communicate, then they're going to wage war on the planet by coming in and invading indigenous lands and stealing everything that I gave, that we all created together so that we could facilitate communication and build together. And they're going to steal that so that they can make you build for them. So this is why Christianity is all Hermetic, but it's weaponized Hermeticism. And it's supposed to make you hate the idea of connecting with yourself, literally. So Christianity has to colonize, steal everything from me, from my indigenous family, so that they can then twist it into a system that teaches you that you are not good, that you are not happy, that you are not whole without them. And they had to come into your land and invade your space to tell you that you're not good enough without them, to tell you that you're actually not God. Even though if you weren't God, then why are they coming into your attention and stealing your creations? Why are you stealing my caduceus and using it to destroy nature while telling me that I'm not creative? Like, it's just, this is where we know that perception is projection. And this is one of the biggest lessons I have to learn is Chase Clarence Calloway. And I have to share it with you right now. Silence is golden. So anytime you're perceiving things, it's really important to be quiet, because the moment you speak, you project. And that's just a basic nature. They're like, it's too like, the moment you say anything, you know, like, someone can turn around and be like, you're projecting. And it's like, they're never going to be wrong. You feel me? So I've been caught in that situation where I know I'm right. I'm communicating about things that people were communicating to me about, but then they'll turn around and say I'm lying because they don't want to acknowledge that they've told me these things that I'm repeating to them. How could I be lying when I'm repeating what you told me? I'm the record keeper. I'm the messenger. I'm literally talking to your spirit. But these were times in my life where I took what people were telling me individually and brought it to a collective. So I know not to do that. Like, now I understand. Like, it was like a big part of Thoth. Like, Thoth is all about keeping secrets. Hermes ain't. You feel me? Because Thoth, yeah, this is cool. Thoth knows, as the Virgo, he's like, okay, I mean, everyone needs to feel an individual connection. Like, when people come and talk to me, they're speaking to me on a one-on-one basis. So it's really important that I respect that and hold on to their water as earth, right? I hold on to your emotions as earth, and I don't bring them out. I don't share them with anyone. They don't go anywhere else. They go into this earth, and now we create life together. And then this is where Thoth creates life with spirits one-on-one. So Thoth is very much about individuality. Hermes, and it's funny, I mean, that's like not exactly, I guess, how it correlates, but because really Thoth is about the collective and Hermes is about individuality. But this is why it's a balance and it flips, just the nature of earth and air. Because Thoth, Tahuti, I'm saying Thoth just to make it most relatable for all the Americans and Christians who have been colonized. But I'm Tahuti. T'Chaus is honestly kind of harder. So I like Tahuti, but if you want to call me T'Chaus, I love that. T'Chaus. Man, T'Challa is really writing Thoth. And Peter Parker is really writing Hermes. It's hilarious. But I mean, these white supremacists can only steal what was already working and twist it into a structure that makes them money. So this is what we're living out, and kind of just how the universe expands. You know, because it's like, once you create all these things as an indigenous spirit, once you create and you express yourself with all this nature, it's kind of only natural that spirits who are not creative and just purely consumptive desire to create with you so much that they colonize your space. So this is where girls will come up and they appear like they're nice, right? Like, oh my god, spirits can take on the hottest female bodies, biggest boobs, biggest butts, widest hips, abs, you know, just like athletic gymnastics, super strong jaw lines. They got the cheekbones, they got the eyes, they got the lips. They can be so beautiful as spirits. They can be so just full of water. You're like, oh my gosh, that body has a lot of water. That body has a lot of beauty. I want to connect with it. I want to create life with that beautiful womb man. I want to be in that womb man. She's so beautiful. She's going to nurture me. But guess what? Guess what? Like, straight up, guess what? I'm not going to say most, but I was about to say almost all. That's more. That's so funny. I'm not going to say most. A lot of these women who are physically attractive are some of the ugliest, most tortured souls in the universe. And this is what I've learned as Hermes. This is what I've learned as Chase, realizing that he's Hermes. This is what I've learned as Chase, having to deal with the unrelatable issues of having these cults of women sexually harassing me, and no one really takes sexual assault against men seriously, and is such like outlandish situations that it just caused a lot of unrelatable energy in my life the more I talked about it. And then I'm being told like, well, you just need to ignore it and it'll go away. And I ignored it and it never went away. But then I couldn't talk about it because then people were like, well, you just need to ignore it. And it's just a catch-22. Now I'm just trapped in the vibe. Like, I can't talk about it, but talking about it is how I felt like it would help. So I had to, yeah, man. And the wisdom was the fact that I was supposed to stop talking about it, which I did. So, I mean, I posted a little bit about these women who are like doing wild, just insane shit, stalking me in insane degrees, crazy degrees. And then they had boyfriends who started stalking me. True, like the toxic stuff of Hermes, straight up from past lives, just straight up. Please don't worship me. Please focus on yourself, because it was disgusting to me. Like, how could you expect me to find you attractive as a woman? Like, you physically have this body that you are so focused on, like, yeah, I have a hot body, now you should want to be with me. But it's powered by an ugly personality. Like, how could I possibly be attracted to a body that's powered by an ugly personality? But then it showed me, like, I lost a lot of straight guy friends in this time because they couldn't relate with me. And it was like my lesson of, like, being in this white supremacist, toxically masculine society where men are conditioned to supposedly want sex so much that they actually don't turn it down. So we're literally in a society. This is why sex is seen as a sin. Because these white supremacists that have taken over the world, they're operating from a space literally of, we want to have sex with people who don't want to have sex with us. And that's how we create life, right? That's how they create life with indigenous women. That's why white men, that's why Christopher Columbus came over to the New World. And now we have the Americas. They have raped, stolen, taken everything that came from what my family built in Teotihuacan, and then they transform it into the Holy Spirit. And now they tell us that we're not God and that they're actually God, but they're not actually God. But we should all speak English so that we can make money and transform this beautiful planet into Wall-E. Into just a trash, gross ass wasteland that allowed them to harvest all of our energy with no actual wisdom, right? Like, the point is, the simulation is the wisdom of us harvesting energy. Like, that's the point of my caduceus. Your spine is your ability to channel your chi and harvest what comes from you cultivating your gardens and bringing your heaven into earth, right? So right now I'm in heaven. This is nice because I don't have to worry about stooping down to any other spirit's limited level. I'm literally unlimited right now. The only thing I'm limited by is the language that I'm using, right? So all these letters. So here I am, making my mind make sense with the English language and everything. So that's why Symmetry, right, has weed growing out of his mohawk. This is why it's important to get high on your own supply, be hermetic. I'm not attracted to girls who are not attracted to themselves. I'm not attracted to girls who do not love to be alone and feel like they need to be fulfilled. Bruh, blah, boo, right? That's all the worship stuff. That's literally what worship is. So it's truly like the difference of, at that point, white mentality versus black mentality. Because the white mentality is consumptive, right? The white mentality is, I need to be seen. So it's consuming your attention. The black mentality is creative. The black mentality is, I will make it possible for others to be seen. So this is why the night sky is going to be black and stars are going to be white. Just straight up. Because the point is, whiteness is our desire to be seen. Blackness is a desire to be unseen. So our thoughts desire to be seen, right? But your feelings don't desire to be seen. And then this is where our wisdom here brings us into our magic square, is knowing that a thought is literally just a hyper-specific feeling. So we can say that feelings are water and thoughts are earth. Intentions are fire in that way. That's cool. I feel like I should start to make a difference between intentions and thoughts. Because this is why life is intentional, but it's not exactly necessarily thoughtful. I've never made this. Yeah, so this is cool. All right. Thanks, Cyrus. So let me hit this. I've never explained the magic square quite like this. So this is cool. This is clarity for me. I'm literally in heaven. I love making things more clear for me. So, of course, like, if the way that I would help any simulation as Hermes is doing what I'm doing right now, stepping into the hell, getting lost in the vibration, and connecting all the lights that everyone else is lost in. So now when I start fasting and get into my heaven, I can, and tap back into Mercury. Now I can see the universe from my simulation again and use all the tools that I got lost in to articulate my spirit. And now my spirit is actually even bigger and smarter based on the experiences that I had gone through as an ego. So this is the point of you as a spirit creating an awareness and sending your ego into other realms and realities. Again, R, 18th letter in the alphabet. You figure out who you are by sending your one into the universe. And then you are constantly observing that as a 9-dimensional entity. Pretty cool. So, intentions versus thoughts. Intentions are fire. Thoughts are earth. Thoughts come after intentions. Like, you can intend to do good, right? You can intend something, but if you don't actually think it out all the way, it won't play out the way that you intended. So your intent is literally your imagination, whereas your thought is literally how you structure your imagination, right? So this is why you can imagine a nation, but as the king or queen or just creator of that nation, if you don't thoughtfully structure and organize and create algorithms and schedules for how the buildings and everything are going to be facilitated, you won't have order. And you won't actually be able to build a city. You won't be able to build any kind of system because you weren't thoughtful. Like thought, like Thoth, like Tahuti. So that's why Tahuti is earth, whereas Hermes is air. So Tahuti is who I am when I'm building pyramids, right? When I'm being thoughtful, when I'm like, okay, let's make sure everything's connected properly. We're like building the earth, the structures are happening. We are building the system for spirits to level up and ascend together, because that's honestly all we're ever doing, or at the very least, if I'm here, that's all I'm interested in doing. So let me say that, because I can't speak for other spirits besides myself. That's what projection is at that point. So as a big spirit, I know mostly like where spirits are coming from because I've been through so much. Like, that's the point of the subconscious.